So when did you know that you made it? When did you know like that song? When did you know that you were like that Glenn Jones?
I'm gonna tell you when things really became clear to me when I had people like somebody like Burt Bacharach and Dionne Warwick calling me to do a record with her, and then I ended up going to do, the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. That was a moment of the first time Aretha Franklin called my house to ask me if I would come and sing at her birthday party, which her parties were legendary. You know what I mean? She laid it out. And when I started doing shows with her, like at Radio City, and doing gigs with her at Caesar's Palace, and I'm like, this is the queen of soul, man. So
Listen.
I must have something going on.
Listen. Now we got
a real moment.
Hey, welcome to KROSS BARZ, the podcast where we discuss interesting topics with alternative perspective. I'm your co-host, Big O. Have with me...
Hey, Tanae, back in the building one more time with our special legendary guest, Mr. Glenn Jones, the musical voice, the man of the time this hour. Give it up for Mr. Glenn Jones. Give it up, give it up.
Thank you.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, now listen. I had to put the ambiance you coming in, and I had to show me. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. What I've been waiting for, I was like, oh my God, I forgot these ones. These are the little bangers. Listen, I'm gonna just let you know, when I was in middle school, these was the joints that, I don't want to go into it. I don't want to go into it, but these was the ones that I was like, I would say my little rap. I've been seeing you in class. You seeing me, and I have Glenn Jones playing.
I'm gonna let you know, Mr. Jones. This guy's a clown. You go.
Yeah. Listen.
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah. Listen.
Even before you let me in the meeting, I can see that. I say he gonna be something.
Yeah, absolutely. Because now, like, if you wrote a soundtrack to my childhood, Glenn Jones would definitely be in there. All right, and then on top of that, okay, because we gonna go through stages. We're gonna talk about your childhood, where you from, how you got into singing, music, things of that nature. Adult life, some of the highs, and then all the stuff, right? But I gotta know, man. One of my favorite songs is "Show Me," but then my favorite rap artist, took "Show Me" and made it a rap song, and I was torn. I was so torn when Nas and AZ took it, and that's the grown man, like it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to get the words out because I'm like, how do you feel? Like, number one, they did a great job.
Yeah, they did a great job. I didn't even realize that they had done it. Actually, when I first heard it, I was in France. I was in Lyon, France, and I did a show that night, and it was an incredible show. Just the whole demographic, man. There was so many young people that were there feeling my music, and so I came out. When I came out of the venue to go to my hotel, it was dawn, and they were out in the parking lot bumping this track.
Yeah.
And it was the Nas track.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, man, for real? So that's a good feeling, man. That's a really good feeling.
Yeah, because now I'm like, I was trying to get it, and I was like, wait a minute, is it a Nas or an AZ? Because, they're on it together. So I was like, so I was like, that's one of my favorites. But back in the day, like I said, you were singing what I like to call wedding songs. You know what I'm saying? The songs that if it ain't the song to get married to, it's the song that you get married to, or if it's not that, it's gonna be the song at the reception. You know what I mean?
I've seen a lot of times, like at the club, sometimes "Show Me" is the last song of the night. That's the last song.
Yeah, buddy.
And that song, man, a friend of mine named Lala, her name is Mafaris Cope, but we call her Lala. She wrote the song.
Oh, wow.
And actually, she's the same person that wrote "You Give Good Love" for Whitney Houston, because
we
lived
no
around
wonder
the
that
corner.
feeling is in that like that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We lived around the corner from each other in Queens. And I went around to her house one day and I was like, okay, La, what you got for me? She said, well, I want to play this song for you. I want you to check this out. And she played You Give Good Love. And I was like on my knees begging her for this song, man. And
wow.
She was like, no, I got this song. There's this new girl named Whitney Houston that Clive Davis is presenting. She said, I can't give you that. She said, but I can give you another song. And that's when she played Show Me. I fell in love with it, and that was it.
Absolutely.
Hold on, wait a minute. She had
spirit. It's a spirit in that song.
Like I give you good love, and then she said, "Look, you can't get this one, but I'm gonna." That was the Tuck song.
Yes.
Wow, that's great.
Okay, like so, how many billions does she have? Like where she at? She's
doing well. She's doing well.
Okay,
I'm sure.
Absolutely. All right, so let's go to the beginning. All right, where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, you Florida boys. Okay, all right.
I'm a Southern boy, man.
No, Florida different. Florida different. It's different.
What that mean?
Florida different. Florida different. Like the South, like watch this. When you say the South, you be like Maryland, they hate when you call them Southern. So they be like, nah, ain't no Bama. So like, watch this. Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi. Like you see how I skipped clean over Florida? Like it was like Georgia, then I go to Alabama, Mississippi.
Why you do that, man?
Like y'all different. Y'all different.
He's a hater. He's a hater. He's a hater. So born in Florida.
Yeah.
Tallahassee, you say?
Jacksonville.
Okay, so you over there by the water.
Jaguar country, yeah. Jaguar.
Okay, you over there by the water. So you hanging a lot over there by Bethune-Cookman?
Yeah. Bethune is in Daytona. So that's about
absolutely.
an hour
right there.
15 minutes from Jacksonville.
An hour? Wow, I thought that was closer. Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So now in Jacksonville. So now tell me, how did you not become a football player? Because everybody in Florida had to play football, had a football story.
Well, I really couldn't play football or any other sports because I didn't have time to be involved in curricular activities because my mother was heavily in the church and we were Seventh-day Adventist Pentecostal. So we went to church on Saturdays. Yeah. So you couldn't be involved in any sports because, all that stuff is on the weekend. And come sundown Friday night, you better be in that house, with your Sabbath school lesson and your Bible, getting ready for Saturday. So we couldn't do anything from sundown Friday night until sundown Saturday night. I wanted to be a Boy Scout. I couldn't even be a Boy Scout because I couldn't be involved in curricular activities. So, I was in church learning music.
Yeah, I had a friend.
I got a little story. I used to be mad at this chick I worked with when I worked at this cookie shop. She was a Seventh-day Adventist. She never worked on Fridays and Saturdays, and I had to always work on Fridays and Saturdays because she couldn't go out. And I'd be like, "What you mean you can't work?" And she's like, "I can't work after Friday. I can't work until after this day." So I always had to work the weekend. So I understand now, but I had to throw that one in there a little bit.
Okay, I had a friend back in Jersey. His whole family, Seventh-day Adventist, him and his sisters and everything, and they said any day with a T in it, they couldn't go. Today and tomorrow. They couldn't go nowhere. Sisters was on lockdown. Like, yo, when your sister coming up, sisters was fine, but it was like, hey, y'all, you can hardly come out. And his whole family, and and the crazy part is they all were very musically gifted. So his sisters could sing, he could play the drums and the guitar. I was like, man, come on, man, with football. And he like, right. That's what we doing.
So he started at a young age. It was like 7 or 8, right? When you were singing in the group, was it that young?
Actually, the first time I sang in church I was probably around 5, and I kept telling my moms that I could sing. Nobody believed me. So
hold up. Who was you imitating? Because at 5 you had to. Who was the person?
Well, I was, really probably imitating my pastor. Because he was a guy that could play piano and sing. He was a great preacher. So I was all about him, man. I was into his thing,
Shout out to Pastor, because he did something right. Because you got it, brother.
Yeah, around that time, I thought you was gonna be a little Teddy Pendergrass or knocking you on there.
No. See, back then I wasn't
Marvin
allowed to listen to R&B or secular music.
Oh,
right.
Marvin Gaye was the same way.
Right.
Yeah, I know, because I came out of the same church that Marvin Gaye came out of.
Correct.
He came out of House of God. House of God. And my mother, my mother and my father knew his mother and father.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. And so you're singing there, and I did see on one of the interviews you were doing that you were, singing some backgrounds, and you were on tour, and you were opening up for some legendary people.
Yeah. I started out singing when I got a little older, say 9, 10 years old. I started singing with a group from Jacksonville, Florida, that was an opening act for like all of the major gospel groups, like Shirley Caesar and the Mighty Clouds of Joy, and Dixie Hummingbirds and Caravans and all of them. So I was a little front singer. I was a little lead singer. I was like the youngest guy in the group. And we traveled everywhere, man. We traveled from Florida to California. By the time I was 12 years old, I had been to California. So we would take the 3 months out of school and hit the road. We had a chaperone, and we had a group of females and males, and I was a youngster, being the lead singer. So I got started really early.
Did you do school on the road too? How'd you school?
Well, it was mostly, during the summer. So, summer months we would go, like, during the school season. I was I ended up eventually my mother started letting me go on the weekends, like Saturday or Sunday or something like that. But mostly we toured during the summer months.
Okay. Did you travel to North Carolina, any around Charlotte area?
Brother, everywhere in the United States we went, man.
Okay. The reason why I asked,
I recorded my first single, my first record, when I was I guess about 12 years old in Nashville. We were signed to a company called Nashville Records out of Nashville, Tennessee. This guy, Shannon Williams, that signed us to his record label. And I got records, man, that I'm singing lead on from when I was like 11, 12 years old.
Wow. Now, the reason why I asked that question is because many people do not know that Casey and JoJo from Jodeci started out as a gospel quartet, the Haley Singers, and similar to your fashion, absolutely.
Yeah, I knew those guys, when they were young, man, because they were part of the quartet circuit, and that's really the circuit that I came out of. That's where I was saying I was around the Five Blind Boys and the Mighty Clouds and the Dixie Hummingbirds, all those great singers, man. That's where I got my start and I got my thing from. Okay,
so now you're a young man. You're singing in the summertime. You grew up in the church, and all church boys, them girls calling. Now, how did you avoid the temptation? Because you're right, it's a marriage, it's right there. It's there. How did you avoid, or what did you get trapped up into?
Well, actually, I got married for the first time when I was about 17 years old.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I was in the church, I was singing, playing guitar, and all of the sisters in the church, the missionaries was like, Brother Glenn, you're a nice looking young man, but you need a wife. You need a wife,
Mm-hmm.
Temptation is out there and everything.
Being sanctified, huh?
I was trying to be true to the church. So I ended up getting married, at a very early age.
How did you choose? Did the church choose her? Did they kind of match make you, or you said, I got somebody in mind. I went by this one place in right down there in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and I need to double back and see if she might be willing.
I chose her, man, because every day when I would come from school, I would see this girl, she would be up at this little bodega,
Gotcha.
and I stopped, and she always wanted to talk to me, and then the next thing I knew,
you married? No, I don't know. At 17, no, I don't have no idea. How in the world did you sing to it? Like, what was your rap? What was your game at 17? Being a church boy, because Florida boys, y'all different. I'm gonna get to it. See if you gonna tell it, but I'll tell it later.
She knew I could sing. We would have gospel shows, or what they call gospel programs, on the weekend, and she would come to the show and see me singing, and she kind of pursued me, and
you were sort of a celebrity. Yeah, you're sort of okay. Gotcha. Okay. All right.
He was a singer. He don't have to.
No, because he tried to play it off like
right.
Yeah, he tried to play it off like, no, I came into her. No, she approached him, and she was like, listen, whatever you want, I'm ready. Okay.
Hey, I remember our old church conventions. That was like, you went to one of those church conventions, you be looking like, oh, New York here, you got Virginia here, you got your little church convention, sweetheart.
What are you, Kojic or something?
Yeah. Grace Church of God in Christ, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
I used to go to the conventions in Memphis every year.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yes, sir. That's nice right there. Okay, so now, how old was your first wife when you got married? Was she 17 as well?
Nah, she was 21.
Mr. Jones?
Why you gotta lean? Why you gotta look like that?
He had to lean back, right? He's a hater. I'm telling you, he's a hater.
See, he had a full-grown adult on his hands. He's 21. Okay. All right. We're gonna move on. Okay, we're gonna move on.
Yeah.
So now you got married. You're on the road a lot. And how did that dissolve? Because that was your first marriage. How things progressed? Because you were young.
First of all, I was really married to my music. I was writing songs. I started writing when I was 15 years old, and my group and I, we were traveling because my brothers had bought a van for us to travel in, bought equipment, bought a trailer. So when I was younger, my two oldest brothers, they used to drive and take us, to different parts of the country so we could sing. And then when we got older, then we kind of struck out on our own. So eventually I met this famous gospel singer. His name is James Cleveland.
Absolutely. And, the church. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. So he heard me sing, heard my group sing, because I had a group called the Modulations from Jackson.
Modulations.
Yeah. Okay. And we ended up going to California, and he invited us over to his house, for dinner or whatever. And we got around the piano and started singing. And the next thing I knew, he had called the record label and told them to send him a contract, because he was signing this kid, Glenn Jones, and his group. And that's how it started, man. And I went in the studio. I had written all these songs. And at the time, we went in to record the record at Ray Charles' studio. Okay. He had a company called RPM, I think it was. And I recorded my first album at his studio with Reverend Cleveland. Reverend Cleveland and I, we did like 3 songs together, 3 duets. And that was really the start of it. So the more I traveled, the more, she and I kind of, drifted apart or whatever. And I just said, look, this is my first love. This is my marriage right here, my music thing. So going our separate ways.
Okay. So now that, your marriage is dwindling, did you have children with your first wife or no?
No, we didn't have any kids.
Okay. Because, that's always complicated. And it's kind of awesome that, you said, listen, I'm married to this, and you were young, so you could look at it. But at the same time, it was super that, Reverend Cleveland kind of ushered you into the business as far as the next level, because you were already established singer and, making a tour, but, there's levels to it. So he walked you into the big doors, so to speak. Right. All right. So now, a little older, you're in your 20s, had a first divorce, everything. Now, how did you make the transition into secular, and why did you go to secular versus staying strictly gospel?
Well, I had written a second album, and the stuff that I was writing was like really contemporary. And so I released the second album, and then this jazz guy named Norman Connors heard my record. And yeah, he just
I know that. I know. Listen, man, listen. Yeah. I'm young, but I listen. I grew up on you guys. I grew up on you.
Yeah, right. Norman heard the second album. I did an album entitled "Feel the Fire," and I wrote everything on there. And Norman, he just really liked what I had done on the project, so he wanted to meet me. My manager at the time was an entertainment attorney by the name of Louise West in Washington, D.C. So she had me to fly up and meet Norman, and we kind of just gelled. And the next thing I know, I was on a flight to California going out there to work on his album. I did a song called Melancholy Fire, which was the second single from his Take It to the Limit album. Melancholy Fire became a top 15 record, second single from his album. And then the next thing I know, I got a record deal with RCA.
Okay.
Wow.
So
some of those record, I'm sorry. Hey, some of those record companies that you were with, like Savoy, and then it was another one. They were out of New Jersey. I think both of those. They were both out. I can't pronounce the other one. It was Shan. I can't say it.
Shawnee.
Yes, that's it. That's it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you got from Florida, and then you're in Jersey, and you're dealing with the record labels, from New Jersey. Was that a different, from the south to the north? When you start getting into the music, could you tell the difference in, who you're involved with? Did it change? Sometimes the industry changes when you go from, state to state.
Well, yeah, it was a real big difference. It was kind of like culture shock because I'm coming from Florida, as my man Big O said. Florida is different. So I'm different there.
Oh, that ain't the South.
I moved from Florida to New York. I moved to Manhattan because when I got to deal with RCA, I was working on my project, and I was, staying like in Midtown at all these hotels. And I told my manager, I said, look, I want to stay here in New York. I said, so why don't you just talk to the record label and tell them that instead of spending all this money to keep me at the Sheraton Center somewhere, I said, I want to get an apartment. So they gave me money to get an apartment. And that's how I moved to New York. And I just stayed there for years,
Yeah, I see that you had something you were in New York, and you performed at the Apollo Theater and opened by James Brown brought you on. I seen the clip. James Brown was like, hey, here's Glenn Jones. Glenn Jones comes up.
Well, Apollo, even before I made the transition to R&B, I had performed at the Apollo when I had my gospel group, the Modulations, because back in those days, the Apollo used to present gospel all the time. I mean, I remember one time we played the Apollo for, like 5 days straight, like during the week, going into the weekend. So that was always a favorite place of mine. And I got, some great opportunities singing there at the Apollo, and I saw some great artists there. So I've always loved going there.
Hey, you know what? Oh, I did the Apollo Theater. I did amateur night though. I did make a couple rounds. I didn't get booed. I made first round, but I have another question for that. So when I did the amateur night, right? The first night, my family was there. We had the T-shirts. I did great. I felt good. Shut up, oh. So then went to the second night. Well, when you do the top dog, super top dog, and all that, it's like a week later. So all of my family was coming in from out of town. So long story short, the second time I had to go on, I didn't have the same crowd. So I lost my confidence because I was looking outwardly for the people to do that. And I learned on that stage that it's mental. I was uncomfortable with what I was wearing. The crowd wasn't there from the people that I knew. So in saying that, like, when you're performing, like, how important is, you know, your mental state and what you're wearing. You got to feel comfortable. Like how important that is to you, you know, for artists. What do you think about that?
It's very important. You know, you need to feel, you know, on top of the world. You need to feel like you look great. But then there are times if you have an audience that's not responding the way you want it. Most of the time, I sing for myself. You know what I'm saying? I go inside of myself. You know, because
I love that. Bars.
Yeah.
Bars.
I'm like, you know, I don't know whether y'all gonna feel this or not, but I'm doing this for me. You know, and I go into it.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, and usually, you know, people start to respond to it because some audiences are different. Some people just don't respond the same way. And it doesn't always mean that they're not enjoying it. You know, they could be enjoying it, but everybody don't react the same way. But as a performer and an artist, usually that's the thing that cheers us on when the audience is really, you know, into it and you know responding and reacting. But when it's not like that, you got to go in here and in here, and you just got to sing for yourself. There have been times, man, where I had, you know, like, you know, minimum response, but I walked off that stage singing like I sung my face off tonight. I know I did.
I hear that. Right. When the leg go up, when the leg go up, you was ready. Leg go up, you serious.
No doubt.
So during the time period that you were singing gospel, that was like the 70s, correct?
Yeah, that was the 70s. Okay.
Because you start seeing during that time period, you know, gospel changing, and you start hearing more contemporary gospel. So, you know, the Clark sisters had a smash hit, and that kind of blew the doors open because, you know, you had also the Winings and Take Six and the Hawkins family. So for me, you know, that's how we clean on Saturdays. You know, I was raised like, all right, I know all these gospel songs. And so somebody like, you know, like, oh, like, listen, you can't tell me about gospel because I'll be mopping, sweeping, and cleaning stuff, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's the Clark sisters.
But you missing somebody.
I'm missing a lot. No disrespect. I missed a lot.
You know, when it really started, you know, becoming really contemporary, that's when Rance Allen.
Rance Allen.
Oh yeah.
That was the cat.
The one and only. Yes.
Rance Allen was the cat that was really going, you know, some people consider to the left, and they was like, man, what is he singing? You know, because music is one way, and you know that don't sound like gospel, but he was killing, man. He inspired me. All that high falsetto stuff that I do, all those high notes. Yeah, I got that from Rance, man. You know,
and that's so awesome. Yeah. That's so awesome that you said that, because for me, it's like you have children that you don't know about. And what I mean by that is that I'm dead serious. It's like, you remember this guy, he's from Charlotte, North Carolina. His name's Horace Brown. Yeah. Horace Brown, I promise you, I thought it was you. I was like, look at Glenn Jones trying to reinvent himself, call him a whole goddamn name. Like, you think I don't know no Glenn Jones when I see him? And they was like, no, that's somebody else. I'd be like, that's damn Glenn Jones. He had a song called Show Me. I grew up on that song. They was like, yo, dog, that's Horace Brown. I was like,
yeah.
I said, you know, and it's, now watch this. There's a couple of them, like Carl Thomas, you know, same thing. He in the lane. He can't sing
Carl
like you.
Thomas is my guy.
But Carl Thomas got that smoothness.
I love Carl Thomas. You know, matter of fact, some years ago, my ex-manager, who I said before is an entertainment attorney, and she was representing Carl Thomas, and she called me one day with him on the phone, and he was like, man, I love you. I love what you do.
Wow.
I want to do a record with you. And this was years ago. And eventually I got a chance to, and he was telling me that I was one of his favorite artists. And I really like him. I think he's very versatile. I think that he has a wide range of stuff that he can do. We talked about how when he was a kid, you know, his dad was into music, and how he used to listen to, you know, like Mel Torme and all these, you know, popular singers, you know, Frank Sinatra and all those guys. And I listen to those guys too. I like them too. So Carl is definitely a guy that I admire.
Yeah, he's from the Glenn Jones tree. That's why I was like, it's a couple of them. I'll be like this. Wait a minute.
He's out the vein.
Yeah, he's right from the vein. Because during that time period where you transitioned into secular, it was a plethora of you. It's like you could close your eyes and say, I'm gonna hit a great, not good, a great R&B singer. Because that was the time Luther just came on the scene. Teddy was, late 70s. He went individual. Yeah. Freddie Jackson was making his round. He didn't pop into the mid 80s. Sir. Alexander O'Neal was trying to hang with Prince and them, and they told him he couldn't be in there.
You think you know what you talking about, Big O?
And I do this.
You, Big O?
People think I'm old and everything. I ain't even 50 yet. You know what I mean? But I got all of them down there. I got the raindrops. I can do that. I can point in the crowd, but I just can't sing. I can do all the moves. I'm one of the greatest background singers, pretenders you've ever known. I can be
pretenders. You heard that, pretenders.
Pretenders,
yeah. Turn my mic off. Just turn my mic clean off, and I can be like,
he's a new Milli Vanilli. That's what.
Milli Vanilli.
There you go.
But you would never catch me singing.
Yes, and he's gonna do his raindrops thing.
Do the raindrops and everything. I got all the moves. Just put me back there. I know you had the powder blue one, the powder blue tux. Which one you had? You had the blue one or the red one with the white?
He said, nah, he was too fly for that. He was too fly for the powder blue.
Actually, when I had the group, the Modulations. We did have some blue touch. We had them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, we had that.
Thank you.
That was the time. That was the era.
Thank you. Because I was looking like, I know you had to have one. It was like, it was in the repertoire. You know what I mean? It was in the repertoire. So now, singing R&B. Hold on, wait. You're making that adjustments though. All right. How was it with your family? Because you coming from a religious family, and so how was that adjustment with your family at the time? And you doing business with your family, which is tough.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I came from a large family. It was 9 of us, and I'm the last of 9. I'm the baby.
You're the baby boy.
So my mother,
the knee baby.
I was the baby. So my mother was she was like really heavily in the church. She compiled the what we call the Sabbath school lesson. She was the superintendent, and that was the biggest thing that I was concerned about, was how she would feel. Because people are always going to talk. Church members, but she supported me, man. And she used to say, my son sings love songs. He sings about love. So she had a problem with it, man. She loved me, and whatever she could do to help me, my family, they were there, helping me, in any way they could. So it was cool. I mean, the church members, they were a little funky, man. They used to say all kind of crazy stuff like, you out there saying, they call it rock and roll. You out there singing
that rock and roll.
You don't be scared, you be on those flights and those planes, you don't be scared the plane gonna crash and all that. It was crazy, man.
Yeah,
but
I understand that.
I look beyond all that stuff. And, I was talking to a young singer this past weekend when I was in St. Louis, and it amazed me that some of that stuff still goes on, that they still love people, Yep. And like a friend of mine told me, is that the church needs to grow up. Come on, man. Just grow up. It's a gift that God has given, them and given me to go out and it's my job to go out and make a living. And it's all about how you do what you do, I always believe, that, as long as you do things decent and in order, and that's got nothing to do with what other people do. I mean, your lyrical content and your concepts, that's your business. I don't have nothing to do with that. I just know what I'm comfortable with, and I do what I'm comfortable with.
Absolutely.
What do you think about the Kanye West and the Kanye West church? And they can sing, you know what I mean? Yeah. But you had some backlash, in that whole situation.
Well, Kanye has been having a whole bunch of backlash with a lot of stuff that he's done and he said, but he is amazingly talented, though, and I respect that.
Absolutely.
Okay, leave it there. So now you in the mix, and as I said, you in the mix with some heavyweights. you know? Yeah. So now you have people and you have to make a way for yourself. How were you marketing? You know, because you were in the mix with some of the greatest of all time, and making sure that you understand me. I believe you are right there with these greats.
Absolutely.
Because you are great. But how would they market you? Because it was crowded at that time. And everybody could really sing. Because it wasn't no, like, all right, we're going to auto-tune you. Y'all really can sing.
Yeah. Nah, it was the album cover. It was the album cover like this.
Yeah, he had to show them. He had to talk on me. You seen it, Jay. He had to talk on me. That's that Florida boy. I'm gonna tell you, he go like that Florida boy. He's gonna peek out.
Hey, you know what? There were times when I was with labels that I felt like they didn't know how to market me, and because you know it was crowded out there, you know, with the Luthers and the Freddies and the Peebos and the Jeffrey Osborne's and the you know, so many
Lionel
people.
Richie.
Yeah, Lionel Richie, and you know, we know money makes the world go round, you know, and it was about what kind of machinery you had behind you, whether they were spending the money. And at the time when I did, We've Only Just Begun. Well, let me back up. When I was with RCA, they were good to me. You know, my first record was an EP, and then the second album was a full album, and that's when I had the hit record Show Me. But they didn't know how to market me, you know, and you know, they would have kept me there forever and kept giving me money. I ain't want that. I wanted some hit records. Yeah. So when Jive came along, they cut a distribution deal with RCA, BMG, and the guy Clive Calder, who owned the record label Jive, he said, "I tell you what, you know, part of this deal is gonna be you let me have Glenn Jones." And they did that, and that's when we came up with We've Only Just Begun, and which was an amazing time for me. But then, you know, after then, it was like trying to pick the right singles, you know, like record companies can mess you up, man. You know, because the single that should have followed We've Only Just Begun is a song that I have called At Last, which is a great record. I mean, right now, man, people love that record, you know. Matter of fact, they had a hip-hop event a couple of weeks ago here in Atlanta, and they wanted to, you know, pay honor to me, you know, pay homage to me. And I wasn't able to be here, but they were into that song At Last. So, you know, there were times when, like I said, I felt like they didn't know how to market me, you know, and I had a following, a base, but, you know, a lot of times I felt like I didn't get what I deserved because, you know, at the time, you know, even like somebody like Luther, okay, who had phenomenal success, but he used to say that, you know, in his opinion, there were three great crooners. It was himself, Peebo Bryson, and Glenn Jones.
And Glenn Jones. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, you know, it's, you know, there have been times when, you know, I felt like, you know, I should have gotten more. But one thing about it, you know, I'd rather have the longevity because I've been in the business doing this thing for over 40 years straight. You know, didn't have to go work at McDonald's or UPS, nowhere.
Right. You know, that was one of my questions. Is what because to us, when we're not seeing you, it doesn't. You know, when you're not in the, you don't have the hits. You know, we're wondering where'd he go? Where's Glenn Jones? You know, when the years go by. So in those meantime, like, what did you do for income? Like you said, you didn't have to do that. So this is just straight music. Do you just writing more or
nothing else? You know, I was a songwriter. My publishing carried me. I always travel abroad. You know, Japan, Brazil, South Africa, you name it, I did it. And you know, people that really follow me and love my music. You know, I was always doing special events. You know, particularly weddings. I mean, that's a very emotional time.
Oh, absolutely.
Sometimes people will pay any money that they have to get you to do that. So
listen, sir. If you could give me the brother hookup discount, I'm thinking about renewing my vows. Now, if you show up and You know, you find it, you know.
I'm gonna have to give you my agent's phone number, man.
Damn, come on, man. I'm trying to bypass that.
They always want to say, he only got to sing one song. It ain't about how many songs I sing. It's about when I pack my bags and I go to the airport and get on that flight and come to your thing. Okay, that's what you're paying for. You know?
Absolutely.
Is there a big
let me know,
difference?
Big O. Let me know. I got you, man. Let me know.
Thank you, man.
Hey, I'm coming.
Hey.
You gotta let me know, Big O. I might have to help you on that with the wedding gift. We might have to help you out. So listen up. So in the differences, like you traveled all over, is there a big difference between, you know, the United States crowd versus the other countries as far as how they receive you, or just, you know, the openness of, you know, you doing your stuff?
Man, these other countries give you so much love. It's crazy. I was in South Africa back in March, and I was there for about 10 days and did 4 shows. And it was amazing. And you know, like the audience, the demographics. I mean, I had, you know, young people like 20 years old singing every lyric, loving it. I have a couple of songs that were never singles over here in the States, but in South Africa, they want it, you know, like you can see them on TikTok all the time. You can see them on IG. It's this one guy that's taking my song, man, and he does his thing. He performs, he just dances, you know, he doesn't sing, but it's killer, man.
He pulling the Big O. He lip syncing. He lip syncing. Okay.
I love it. He doing the Big O.
I'm going back in February, and in between those things, I mean, I've done plays, you know, that kind of thing, you know. Started doing plays back in the 80s. There was a play, it was actually a Broadway show, a pre-Broadway show, that Aretha Franklin was supposed to be starring as Mahalia. That was the name of the show, Sing Mahalia Sing. Oh, yeah. And we went into production, you know, went into rehearsal in New York for about 6 weeks, and she decided that she didn't want to do it. I don't know if it was around the time she decided she didn't want to fly anymore. But anyway, we took a hiatus, and then they brought us back because Jennifer Holliday had just won the Tony for Dreamgirls. And we went back into production, and we went out for 7 months. So I did that, and I've done several plays, man. So,
Mama, I want to sing. You know what I'm saying? Mama, I want to sing.
No, I didn't do that.
It's the only one I remember. That's the only one. I was a little young. I was real young then. Okay, I got you. This was about the life of Mahalia Jackson. Okay.
And it was amazing, man. You know, we had Broadway producers. We had the sets and everything made by Broadway set makers, the orchestra, the Richard Smallwood singers. You know, they were in the show. Richard Smallwood, he did all of the arrangements in the show. You had Lynette Hawkins from the Hawkins family. It was amazing, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I want to touch on a couple of things that you mentioned. When Jive acquired you with the deal with RCA, and it was a distribution, did you see the money go up for you because of a distribution deal? Because many artists, they, you know, if they get as notoriety, that's what they want, because now they have a fan base and they could get more bang for their bucks.
Yeah, well, the thing is that basically it was just a deal between Jive and RCA BMG.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
You know, their records. So I was signed directly to Jive Records.
I got you. All right. And so now,
it was a lot of 90s hip hop on Jive. On Jive.
Yeah, but
it was funny. Like after I got there, everything was hip hop. Everything was hip hop, and everything
that was the thing.
Kelly. You know, everything was R. Kelly.
Yeah, R. Kelly, KRS-One.
Yeah. But the problem is, your boy, he stole.
You know,
Tribe.
Many people didn't realize that R. Kelly bit his entire style from Aaron Hall. Like he took the whole style and ran with it. And sometimes people, like when you say it's like you got to know music and been around to know, like, no, Aaron Hall and Guy was those dudes. You know, Keith Sweat was on the up and coming.
The other thing too, though, you know, all of that R. Kelly and Aaron Hall sound really came from Charlie Wilson.
Oh, well, that's not fair. Absolutely. Well, Charlie Wilson has a lot of children as well.
Yeah,
let's just not do that because he got a whole lot of family. You know what I mean? So absolutely. So the Gap Band in the 80s and the advent of, rapping coming in the forefront, people really love the sound and they sampled them a lot. So, and also, when you mentioned Feel the Fire, you said that was the name of what again?
It was the name of the second gospel album that I did on Savoy Records. It's a different Feel the Fire. Yeah, it's not the Feel the Fire that people voice and Teddy.
Okay.
That's what I want to ask you. I was like, did you get any slack? Because that was his big song. And then Stephanie Mills.
It was so different. My song was totally different. Even the tempo of it. That's the album that I did that when I finally met John P. Key. He told me
Charlotte.
He said that was the album that turned his life around and saved his life. He used to go around telling people, I want to get that Glenn Jones Feel the Fire album. I'll give you $400 for it, But it was totally different concept.
Okay.
Man.
So you touching people's lives.
Yeah, and nowadays, like R&B, like when we're talking about R&B from your era, there's a spirit with it, and like soon as it's different than now. Like I can hear music now, like it's good, but it's a spirit with the music from back then. You know what I mean? It's something that it just stay with you, and as soon as the first little 2-3 notes hit, you just go back into. I can smell stuff, I can see stuff like nostalgia. Yeah. What is that? Like, what is the difference? Like, why the passion or something?
We get fast food right now. We get McDonald's and Wendy's. Yeah, right there. That was collard greens.
You said it.
That was fried chicken. That was, you know what I'm saying?
But that even the lyrics, like you could feel like it was
cornbread.
real.
It come with cornbread. It come with a biscuit. Come with cornbread.
So when you were writing, you doing your songwriting, like what's the most important part of the song? Is it the first verse? Is it the hook? Is it the bridge? When you break a song down, like what makes a song like that song?
It's the hook, because the man about writing hit songs that you want to get a hook, a sing-along type of. You don't see me?
I see you.
You see me, Big O?
I see you. You all good.
Okay.
Yeah, I still think something going on, man. I don't know. I need you to send me a bottle of water, whatever the hell you drinking. You out here fooling out. You out here fooling nanas. You know you're supposed to be after the nanas. You in the nana category, and you out here stealing people moms, man. You know what I mean? You supposed to be stealing. Supposed to be Mr. Steal your grandma. You out here, Mr. Stealing your mama. That's crazy. Goodness gracious.
Getting them aunties, bro.
Like you supposed to be past auntie. You supposed to be way past that. You somebody pop-up in these streets. Ain't looking like Nan Pop-Pop. Looking like somebody dad and uncle. Yeah. Goodness gracious.
Looks great.
Yeah, I don't know. You just motivated me like a mother. I'm cutting this out. I'm gonna get this through just for me. I'm dying all this. I don't care. They're gonna have to talk to me or something. Absolutely. I'm getting a CT spank.
Man.
Yeah.
All the young people want to look older, man. You wait till you get older and see how you want to look.
Oh no!
You gotta color up the gray. You gotta color up the gray.
Listen, I was thinking I'm gonna be all natural and everything. This man coming to the I was like, all right, let's see. What the hell? Like it scared me. Like, what the hell is this? Ain't Glenn Jones? I was like, yeah, he looked like that cat for the album cover. But what the hell going on? That ain't him. He look younger than me. I was a damn near elementary school. See, I had an old soul. I had no game. Say if they knew music, then they knew my game. Because I used to write y'all lyrics down and send them as notes. Like, yeah, girl, I thought it. Yeah, that was
plagiarism.
Me. Yeah, don't do it. Yeah, I had no original thought. Yeah, that was my game. Absolutely.
I'm gonna go back real quick. So you said with the song, the best part is the hook, because we were kind of breaking up a little bit at that part. So
that's the nucleus. That's the meat of the song, and it's like storytelling, and you go back, you go to the verses and say, establish why you said what you said. Like if I say at last, okay, then, at last I found the girl, I got to give my story up. I got to tell how it happened. and how I felt when I found her. You know what I'm saying? And we took, and that's the thing, like, back in the day when we, wrote songs, we took our time writing them. It's like, I would take a song and rewrite it 2 or 3 times because it still wasn't there. It still wasn't saying what I wanted it to say, and that was the skill of it. And then, we even, we had different parts, like, if we went to the bridge, okay, it's got to be cohesive, but it's got to be a release. It's got to take us somewhere else for a second and then take us back to where we were. But a lot of times you don't do that anymore. It's like, it's the loop, it's the, it's repetitious, constantly. And you're not using that, you're not using your creative thing to give the song a release, to go somewhere else and come back. And, that's the way we would build a song, but a lot of people.
And then the music had to follow it too. The music just had to go right along with it. That's
yeah.
So when did you know that you made it? When did you know, like, that song? When did you know that you were like that Glenn Jones? When did you know, like, I'm Glenn Jones?
When Pastor Cleveland walked them in. We passed that part.
I don't know. Was it in the gospel era? Was it the Cleveland, or was it when?
That man is official. That dude. Remember that commercial used to come on? Who the hell left the gate open? He was on there. He was a part of my childhood.
I'm gonna tell you when things really became clear to me, when I had people like somebody like Burt Bacharach and Dionne Warwick calling me to do a record with her, and then I ended up going to do, the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. That was a moment of the first time Aretha Franklin called my house to ask me if I would come and sing at her birthday party, which her parties were legendary. You know what I mean? She laid it out. And when I started doing shows with her, like at Radio City, and doing gigs with her at Caesar's Palace, and I'm like, this is the queen of soul, man. So
listen.
I must have something going on.
Listen. Now we got the real moment. Let's get to it.
Yeah.
Now, how did these ladies in the industry? Now, I know that you're divorced now, so you're single, and then you're in secular music, and you ain't a bad-looking gentleman. So now.
Well, I wasn't single then, though. I wasn't married, but I got married for a second time. But at the time, at that time, my lady and I we were dating. I met her when I was singing gospel. And I did a live album with her uncle. Her uncle was this legendary gospel singer named Julius Cheeks, who sung with this famous gospel group called the Nightingales. So he worked with people like Sam Cooke and all those guys.
Yeah.
And when I did the live record with him, I met her, and she and I started working together and touring and doing records together. So I was with her by the time I really started to.
Go secular.
Get to that next level.
Yeah, I got you.
Right.
Yeah.
So you need that. You need that woman to keep you level out. See, I know. I was a hater. All right. You said no.
You said you're still talking to a Florida boy.
Yeah.
You're still talking to a Florida boy now. Yeah, you look.
Man, you know what, me and you got to have a one-on-one, because I want to get to know what you mean by it.
What I mean, listen, you're going to get it by the time we finish. Florida boys, they're different. You know what I mean? Like what's the best one? What you say? That's all you know. It just got serious. Florida boy said, "What you say?" Like, you want to go over there and talk to both of them girls at the same time. What you say? Like, you know where I'm from. Like, oh yeah, you from Florida, my bad. Like, yeah, you won't go to the sister and mess with the little sister. What you say? Yeah, that's the Florida boy. They're different. But yeah, now you next level. Yeah, next level. Now you truthfully, you've been arrived, because now you're doing it in two genres. You were very successful in gospel. Now you with the heavyweights, and you carving a niche, the queen of soul. You bumping elbows and on tour, things of that nature. So now tell me about Slow Down. So now they're not marketing you right. You're starting to see things are starting to change, and people are starting to die. Donnie Hathaway, during that time period. Phyllis Hyman committed suicide. So these things are happening. So now how are you feeling? Because, I know there's ups and downs. And sometimes when you get so high at the pinnacle and when you start to go down, it's kind of hard to deal with being a mere mortal after being a superhero to so many.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got to have that foundation. It's like I had my foundation from my family and my belief and my trust in God. And I feel like I've always had God's favor. It's like, a lot of people who started when I started, they fell off, and because of various reasons, but I always, believed that everything was going to be all right because I knew that, God had me and he's always had me. I could have ended up messed up, or crazy or drugged out or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But, people like to say, well, you were able to maintain because, you were living off your mother's prayers or whatever. And my mother was like that. She was a praying woman. But, I always loved the fact that I was doing music, no matter what, whether it was highs or lows, but I was doing music and I could always make money and I could always pay my bills and I could, you know what I'm saying? I mean, too many times we looking at what somebody else got. I don't look at that, because I look at the Bible says, whom I bless, no man can curse. So, he blessed me. He got me.
Yeah. So now, being blessed, you have your, what happened? Okay, there you go.
Yeah, y'all got me back.
Yeah. I was like, whoa.
We got you back.
Whoa.
We gonna get loose.
I'm sorry. Hey, it ain't me, man. I ain't touched nothing.
Yeah. It's just technology. It's just technology. That's all.
Yeah. But I've known a lot of people that did music full time. Yeah. They ended up working for UPS. And that's not to look down or belittle anybody. I'm just saying, the grace that I was shown to give me a long career in music.
Okay. Are you still touring?
That's
like even. And was it like you were still touring, or was it the resurgence of, because hip hop basically came and then took everything over. Like we had so many different genres, and now even hip hop is in gospel, and people feeling some way about. Matter of fact, let's ask you about that. How do you feel about hip hop and the gospel?
I'm open to change. I'm open to, I've always surrounded myself with young people, even, the cats in my band, my background singers, they're a lot younger than I am, but they keep me, motivated. And I learn from them, and trust me, they learn from me. You know what I'm saying? So it's a give and take situation. And I don't have any problems with that. I would love to do a record where I was, doing some verses and I got somebody come in, spit on a verse or something like that, I got a song called Family Time. I would love to. I wish I could get somebody like Snoop Dogg to get on.
No. Let's go back. Let's go with AZ and Nas. Like whatever that was. Let's keep that in that same vein.
I say Snoop Dogg. I say Snoop because I know he did that project, that gospel project, and the song that I did that I'm going to release is a very inspirational kind of thing. I know he's into that kind of thing. But I love Nas, I love AZ. I love all of them.
Love Nas.
Absolutely.
I love that.
I understand that. I do understand that. So now, like when I was younger, it was always interesting where seeing who was grooming who. Like I didn't know until like maybe few years ago. I kind of like was on the pulse of a lot of stuff historically as far as music was concerned, but I didn't know that Regina Belle basically was pushing Luther Vandross to like step out because he was a background singer. And then prior to, her, it was like Karen White was the background singer. And then she was the background singer and Ada Break, and then she was the background singer to this person. And then she was background singer to, Sarah Vaughan. And it was like, what in the hell? So it's like a tree where the background singer learned how to perform, have stage presence, all these things about grooming them to take the lead.
I love that.
And so now, you know, were there people that you groomed as an, you know, A-list and, you know, center man for R&B?
On top of what you just said, Dave Hollister.
Yeah.
He used to sing
Blackstreet. What?
Okay.
No, I met Dave when he was 17 years old. I met him in Chicago because I was playing a supper club there. I had a gig at the supper club in Chicago for like a week, and I needed a male singer. And the guy that was my musical director told me about this kid named David Hollister. Yeah. And he had done some gospel with Dave when he was working with Vanessa Bell Armstrong. And Dave came over to my hotel and sung for me and could sing his face off. Plus, he was just so crazy. You know, it's his sense of humor. And, you know, he's a church boy, and, you know, he always had me laughing. So I kind of became his big brother. So he, absolutely, you know, he ended up, you know, coming to Jersey. And, you know, he lived with me and my wife for a while. And then he toured with me over in Japan and Europe, you know, the UK. And then eventually he started doing his own thing. So, you know, if you mention my name, he gonna say that's Big Brother. And the crazy part of you mentioning that, because I never knew that, you know, I'm a Dave Hollister vet one. If you don't take care, wait a minute, did you write any of those? Because you know his first joint was crazy. He had like 6. That's what I'm talking about, man. Get that paper.
Like when he went gospel.
Listen. Let me hold something. Come on. Let me hold something. Like I like that right there. That boy stay getting money. All right, that's gonna be the new album. Yeah. Stay getting money, Glenn Jones. So, that's what I'm talking about.
So in all of that, like
stay getting money.
Stay getting money. So in all that was getting like awards and these things like that, did you get in those, you know, type of awards? And what do you feel about award shows and being recognized? Because just talking to you and everybody who's touched your lives and the lives that you've touched, everybody don't get the recognition that they deserve. And there's so many more people. What's your take on that? Like, I think people are missing. Like, some people get it, but some people just missing.
Yeah, well, there have been a lot of people, you know, that have been passed by on the awards. And, you know, I mean, some people used to say it was political. You know, I don't know. I think that, you know, at one time, it seemed like even somebody like Luther wasn't getting his recognition. He was not. You know, from an award standpoint, you know, and that's just how it is. But, you know, it's like the reward for him should have been that, okay, he made millions of dollars, he sold millions of records, he had such a, you know, beloved following, and he was so successful, and he's missed very much so right now, you know, and there will never be another Luther. I'm sorry, but you know, he's just
they tried. They tried with Ruben Studdard, and I didn't like it at all.
No, that ain't like it at all.
That ain't
Ruben is good. Ruben can sing.
He good. He good. But no, don't do that. That's not. They were setting him up to fail. I was like, but me, I was just thinking about you, like your career, what you were saying, what I'm learning, and I was like, man, you have a son, because this one guy, he looks like you, and he sings some timeless songs, but they throw a little hip hop on him, and that's Case. Real talk.
Case.
Look, I'm gonna tell you. That was the next name that was getting ready to come out of my mouth. I was going to tell you.
Hey, I love the vibes.
I've been told that Case looks like me.
Yes, he does.
He does look like you. He resembles. I didn't think of that, but yeah.
Hey, but look, as a matter of fact, we're going to be together on December the 10th. We'll be in London together.
Oh, wow.
Case?
December the 10th, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, listen, I don't know what you do. I know you're a Florida boy. So I know you were on the road. You know what I mean? Like go ahead, prick that finger. You know what I mean? Just like, look, you know, listen, that he in Atlanta. I told you, got some sons out there. Like, they follow that.
Funny.
you're gonna give us a bad reputation, man.
No, everybody already know. You the last one to the show. You the last one. Everybody know this. Florida boys is different. But look, I think this, and from what I'm learning from what you're telling me, I have in my mind another person that followed the same path that you found, but he was just light skinned. And I used to dislike it because, I'm brown skinned. It was Howard Hewitt. You and Howard Hewitt.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you and Howard Hewitt. Y'all the same. Light skinned, gospel, you know what I mean? Was in the group. Howard Hewitt can sing his butt off too. Knock it off.
I like Howard Hewitt, but no.
It's the light skinned Glenn Jones.
I'm gonna disagree on this one.
I was in South Africa with Howard back in March, and we got this name that we say, man, I can't,
Salt and pepper? What? What is it?
No, we always call each other. We say, "You bastard, you."
Y'all playing around.
Right, yeah, you bastard. But I told Howard, I said, "Well, look," I said, "Howard, you're older than me, man. You're a couple of years older than me." He said, "Well, you wish you look this young." I say, "Well, I said, black don't crack, bro." He said, "Well, babes don't age."
Oh, boy. Oh, I like that. Yo,
hey, it's first time I heard that. Babes don't age.
I'm trademarking. I might. Listen, put the papers out on that one. Listen, babes don't age. Yo, matter of fact, tell them nothing. Matter of fact, don't make mention of that. Let me get that one. What? Black don't crack and babes don't age. That's what's up.
That's funny.
All right. So we have this thing that we do where I'm going to give out two names, all right? And you can say one or the other. You can say both, or you can say neither. So you have four choices. So if I say, all right, pork chops or steak, you can say both, or you can say, steak.
Neither.
Or you say neither. You're like, I'm vegan.
Right.
Meat. Okay. All right, cool. All right. So I'm gonna give you the grapefruits, the easy ones. All right. Okay.
Cool.
All right. Yeah. Florida boy. All right. Let's do this. All right. Emmitt Smith or Deion Sanders?
Emmitt Smith.
Okay. Yeah, from around your way. Yeah, people don't know that. Corpus Christi. Yeah, look, listen. I know a little something about Florida boys. All right, okay. The Buccaneers or the Dolphins?
Buccaneers.
Okay.
Tampa Bay.
All right. Okay. The Mighty Clouds of Joy or the Clark Sisters?
Oh,
yeah.
You're breaking them down.
Both. Okay.
All right. He almost started sweating a little bit.
Pastor Cleveland and John P. Kidd.
John P. Key.
Okay. John P. I thought I was gonna get you. Oh, I got a good one. I got a good one for you. Yeah, get right there and there. Yolanda Adams or Fantasia?
Oh, Fantasia.
Okay.
Yes. She wanted to get her just due.
Listen, I'm gonna give one for my hometown.
No. Man. Okay, I'm sorry, guys.
What's my Ty Tribbett or Kirk Franklin?
Both.
Okay. Yeah. All right, give us a little easy one.
I got one.
No, hold on, you get I'm in the flow right now. All right, I'm in the flow right now. Look. Jordan or LeBron. Yeah. Let's see where you at. I keep off balance. That's what you got.
Oh.
Yeah.
LeBron.
That's what I'm talking about.
No.
I thought you was old school.
No.
You said, I'm going to kill him. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Okay. Pac-Man or Donkey Kong?
Pac-Man.
Okay. All right. Easy one. All right. Look. Florida boys. All right. Now watch this. Baseball or football?
Football.
Wow. Okay. All right. We gonna end it. Get some a little new, something that's a little touchy. Okay. Mary J. Blige or Beyonce?
Beyonce.
Okay. Oh, that was easy. He said Beyonce. All right. Go ahead, Jay. What you got, Jay? Yeah, I wasn't gonna take you to old school style because you with them, you got different relationships. Because I used to get cat Freddie Jackson or Teddy Pendergrass. Like, man, listen, he was over here and he got some probably stories and stuff. Like, nah, I ain't even asked about his peers. So that's why I kind of stepped away, get you off balance with the sports. But go ahead, JT. Now you had one.
All right, this is my last one for you. Grits or cream of wheat?
Oh, don't get that wrong. Oh, okay. I was about to say, don't get it wrong, Florida boy. They'd have sent you to Alabama with that one. Oh God. She from West Virginia. Yo, listen. That wasn't even good. That was a bad question. That was disrespectful. I wouldn't say that was outright disrespectful. Actually, the Florida boy.
Hey, look, I never had cream of wheat until I was a grown man. All I did was grits.
Yeah, you probably had it in New York, right? You was in New York at the time, probably. Yeah. I remember in the South, I got myself some. I put sugar in my grits. I'm down at college, a freshman. Listen.
No,
I didn't know.
Man,
listen, I'm trying to let you know. I was a freshman in college. I'm down with my football team. We had training table and the breakfast. And, I asked for ketchup. Cass was like looking. It was like, maybe he's going to put on his sausage bacon or something. But I put on my eggs. And then I said, that's the sugar. It seemed like, now think about it, I'm at a long table. So at least 60 dudes at this one table. The other 30 is at the other table. And like, you could hear like, you know what I'm saying? Like, time stop. I said, yo, pass me the sugar. It seemed like everybody said, just look down. I was like, did I do something wrong?
You don't put sugar on grits?
I put sugar on grits at least
you put cheese on grits.
At least 15 people. 15 people got up and said, "Oh hell no!" It got up from the table. I was like, "Yo, what's wrong with y'all? Y'all put sugar in this?" And I had to learn, like, no. And then, but I ain't know better. I was from New Jersey.
So what do you put in it, Mr. Jones? What do you put in? What do you put in your grits?
Salt, pepper, and butter.
Grits, salt, pepper, and butter, and some hot sauce. And I put ketchup on my eggs. I got to have ketchup on my eggs.
Yeah.
Jelly on the egg.
Yeah, he put the hot sauce on it. So yeah, that's Florida. That's Florida. All right, everything I'm blaming on Florida. I'm like, yeah, that's Florida.
Okay.
That's Florida. Absolutely. So now one thing we didn't ask about your family. Do you have children?
I have a son.
You have a son? Okay, so now how was it? Did you have your son later, or did you have him during your heyday?
Early, very early.
Oh, you had it very early. So now, how was that? Did you have any guilt of raising your son and being on the road? Like what is that called? Survivor remorse? Like, man, like Tom Brady going through right now. His wife just ain't having it.
No, well, back then, I think things were a lot simpler then. So, I saw him as much as I could, and sometimes I would take him on the road with me when I could. I tried to get his mother to let him live in New York with me, but she wouldn't do it. She said it was too dangerous.
Yeah. No. She only seen New York from the movies, because when you got up there, it's like, man, ain't nothing but cabs up here. I know, I got you.
Right, she didn't know.
Yeah, got you. Because people thinking like, you're from New Jersey, but like, there's suburbs there too. Housing projects everywhere. Yeah. Housing projects in the South, they're everywhere. So it is what it is. But I want to just touch on that because we touched on a lot of things, and I wanted to make sure that somebody come look for the most updated and comprehensive look into Glenn Jones' life. I know we didn't go into all of the your career and where you went, but saving that for the book. Do we have a book or a documentary?
Actually, I spoke to somebody the other day about me writing a book. So eventually you will see that. But I do want to mention that I have a record label called Talent Room Entertainment, and I'm about to release my album. Actually, the single is going to drop in the next couple of weeks. I have a song called Family Time, which was produced by Chucky Booker and it's me and my niece.
Turned away. Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, I know this music, man. Okay.
Yeah, I got a niece. Her name is Iana Crawley. She was Sunday's Best winner.
Sunday Best? Iana Crawley?
Yeah.
Yes.
She's the bomb. So we got this song called Family Time, and we're getting ready to drop that. But check us out at talentrooment.com, or go to glennjonesmusic.com, and just keep your ears open for the new record, Family Time.
Okay, Family Time. All right, what about Instagram? You still got the moniker Mr. Still Your Grandma?
Yeah, at Real Glenn Jones.
At Real Glenn Jones. Yeah, it's the real Glenn Jones. Yeah, because I already know.
Right,
You're probably out there got the taco meat out and out there showing off. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, this is what taking care of yourself at 30. I know that, man. That ain't even right. Got me all messed up in here, coming here looking like he 30. What the hell is this shit?
You look like you got some taco meat.
No, yeah, I got it. Yeah, I do. I ain't no front.
Tell him, Mr. Jones, tell him.
Look.
His taco meat start right here.
No. I got that 70s, the stuff that knot up on you. Yeah, absolutely. I got that 70s.
Right.
Yeah, I got the 70s.
Them beads on your chest. You got the beads on your chest.
Look at him, man. Up here looking like he's 30. Go out here and be like, yeah. It's gonna be like Mr. Glenn Jones. Like, I remember with Glenn Jones.
You know what, man? I've heard a lot of people say that. I guess because I try to take care of myself, and back in the day when we were younger, we would party and stay up all night and all that stuff, man. I go to bed, man. I just take things as they come. I take it easy. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to hold it in the road, bro.
Yeah, listen. Right now, I'm just starting my cleanse. I done had this one. By the time I give you a call up in maybe a year and a half, so I can get my vows renewed. Yeah, I'm like, all right. Meet me down at church. Yeah. Listen. Don't say nothing.
Do that for real?
I'm dead serious because I'm.
How many years is it? How many years would that be? Oh.
Well, right now I'm celebrating this year because we got married in '99. So always think of the year. So it's been 23 years.
Wow.
So 22.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Give it to you.
Yeah.
That's what black love.
Yeah. That's what. See what that'll do? Yeah, that black love will do that. She'll stress you out.
Jones, how many years you been married?
30.
I'm right behind you. I'm at 14. So we coming up the rear.
Listen. If you ever, yeah.
Hey, I think that's a long time.
It is a long time, ain't it?
So yeah, because I think you still remember what you did before you was married. I have no idea.
Right.
I was single before. Like I don't have no idea what I used to do. Wow. So now I need to figure out now. Okay, if you on your 30th, if you want me to perform at your 30th, you let me know.
No.
We can put on any track you want, and I did that. I'm an R&B performer. I can't sing. But I could do all the moves. The moves. I thought I was the 6th Delphonic. Yeah, I thought that. You know what I mean?
The 6th Delphonic.
The 6th. There's only 4 of them, but I thought I was the 6th. It was one skipped and it was me.
He was one of the heartbeats.
Oh, you saw my picture? You saw me with the yellow, the canary yellow, and I was about 3 years old, and I was like, shit. Forehead was crazy. But yeah, that was the 6th heartbeat as well. But Mr. Jones, you gave us your information. Yeah, listen, I'm gonna look forward and I'm gonna be bumping you. So and I'm gonna look out for the niece and tell Chucky Booker, yo, listen. I want to talk to him too. We got some things to discuss because he had the S curl, and I want to talk. Yeah. Thank you, because
I'll be in touch when the record drops.
Absolutely. So we can push that. Because Chucky, look, Chucky had the tail and everything. And I was like, oh man, because it was him It was Big Bob. Like I could go with
Today, all of that.
Yeah, today, all that and stuff. So yeah, tell him shout out to him.
Big Bob, that's my boy, man. Big Bob.
Is he still on the scene?
I love Big Bob.
Yeah. So like I said,
I was with Big Bob.
They don't make them like that no more, man.
Yeah. Whoa, whoa. I think I'm the only one that had the Big Bob first album after he left today, and he had his own solo joint. Oh, absolutely. I think me and like 12
only one.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen.
All right.
Look. I was young.
He's still doing his thing.
That's great. Yeah. Glad to hear it.
That's that. It's just so much information, so many things that you've done. We really, really appreciate you being on KROSS BARZ right now. Just want to thank you for just what you contributed to the culture, just to the Black experience throughout the years. You know what I mean? Can't take nothing of that away for you. You know, the wars won't even touch what you've given us, me growing up, memories that I have, none of that. You know, Big O's hopes and dreams of one day, you know, singing background, you know, you gave them all that. So we're going to take it out now. Again, thank you very, very much, Mr. Jones, for being on KROSS BARZ, and that's KROSS BARZ. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. You go to our website. You know, we do it like we want to do it. And you know what else? We got bars. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Yay.